Curtis brought up the drive line approach to player development. With this team leading the league in strikeouts with runners in scoring position, is it time to reassess that and flip the switch there?
Well, like I said, we're constantly reassessing. But if I were to, to say to you, well, what is the drive line approach, and what part of that is try to, ensure that with two strikes you're not putting the ball in play, especially with runners in scoring position. Like, what would be the answer to that? I think there's probably a mischaracterization around, what exactly that means. So would love, kind of in your mind, what does that mean?
I'm glad you're here to clear it up. I mean, I think if there's a misperception, it exists because you've intentionally gone out and hired everybody from the organization. And so we assume that that's approach when it comes to the hitting development of young players. If it's not, correct me.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, this approach is spoken about like it's the boogeyman. But if I were to say, the approach that we have to teaching offenses to say, hey, we've got to start with making great swing decisions, right? We've got to understand the pitches that we need to swing at. When we swing at them, we need to put them in play. And when we put them in play, we want to hit the ball hard enough that it matters. And when we get to two strikes, we need to compete like all hell to put the ball in play, especially when we have runners in scoring position. Is that something that you would say sounds like, kind of we've got the wrong approach here, or misunderstanding, around what's important? I think we need our hitters to be extremely competitive in the box. We also need them to understand, what type of balls in play tend to produce runs. And that's the approach that we've got.
Craig, if we could go back and look at pitching from Tuesday, taking Chapman out after 8 pitches, what was the reason behind that?
We're trying to make sure that we're monitoring our reliever workloads, and obviously our bullpen they've been ridden pretty hard, over the last couple of weeks, as the starting pitching hasn't consistently pitched deep into games. And, Chapman is a guy who hasn't gone back out for a second inning, in quite some time, and we want to make sure that we have him fresh and available to help us win as many games as we can this year.
Craig, have you reevaluated the approach in terms of whether it's workload for Crochet or in-game strategy, considering you're now 30-34 and the season could spiral? So do you have to reevaluate just the day-to-day approach